What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today we're here with Miss Royda Urey. Now, she's been on here about twice already, and she's a fan favorite with some people. I've seen in the comment section, some people that love her to death. Some people say, why is she even on this channel? But you know me, the moment you tell me don't bring somebody on my channel, I'm going to bring them. That's just kind of, person I am. But we want to talk to her a little bit today about just a few things that's going on in Liberia that she can share. Royda, we definitely thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, now they got some new people that's come in since the last time you've been here. So tell people just a little bit about yourself, your story, how you end up getting in Liberia.
All right. So I am actually a Liberian, but grew up in America. I was born in New York, and shortly after my birth, I came back to the Liberia, what I like to call an anchor baby. And I was here up until I was about 4 years old. When the Civil War broke out, me and my mother traveled back to the United States just to wait out and see what was going to happen. The war ended up lasting for quite some time. So I spent 26 years in America until I decided to move back in January 2017. So I'm starting my 4th year here. Trying to get back into the culture, get back to the place that I, was intended to be in, but because of circumstances, I couldn't be. So yeah, that's my story in a nutshell. And I started a blog. I guess that's the big piece, right? When I moved back, I decided to start a vlog to kind of start off to show my American friends that, Africa is not what they see on National Geographic. When I was telling people that I was moving, they're like, oh my God, are there like lions in your front yard? So that's where the vlog started, but then it became kind of outlet for Liberians in the diaspora who haven't been home in 20, 30, 40 years because of the war, and other Africans, and just anyone in general who has had preconceived notions about Liberia, because all we see is war and Ebola when you talk about Liberia. So what I'm trying to do is just show positive things about my little country and changing the narrative a little bit.
All right, Royda. So, that's, her introduction. Let's get to the main thing that's going on right now. We have, this issue going on with the virus that's, running rampant all over the world. We noticed at first that the continent of Africa did not have that issue and problem until we've seen a lot of Europeans and also could be Chinese that kept coming to the African continent. And actually eventually now is there. So what is going on with that response? I know Liberia had a different situation, how he got there, but maybe I'm wrong. Was that person around people who had it, maybe traveling somewhere?
Yeah, so our first confirmed case actually came from a government official, the head of the EPA here, who had traveled back from Switzerland. Now, there's a lot of controversy about if he broke protocols for quarantine or not. He says he didn't. After he was confirmed, the president did suspend him indefinitely because of the breaking of the protocol. So he was the first case. So he brought that from Europe. Then the second confirmed case was a domestic worker at his house, his chef. And then the third case, because we only have 3 confirmed, and I'm going to say confirmed because I have some theories on where we actually are. The third confirmed case is a woman, and they still haven't been able to trace how she got it. So that leaves a little bit of concern for a lot of Liberians right now.
All right. So based off of what you're saying, what happened in South Africa, Nigeria, even Kenya, it seems like either Africans were exposed to it through Europeans from Italy or somewhere in Europe, or Chinese. It seemed like it just didn't spring up on its own African continent. Is it be safe to say that?
Yes, because even when you look at the early cases, there was always somebody traveling in from some other country that had the virus present. I haven't heard of any case that just popped up, in any country. But usually it's either a foreigner or a Liberian or, you know, South African that traveled and contracted the disease by travel.
It's the same thing that happened here in America. It's that no American citizen just had it. That someone from China brought it in here. I think January the 21st, and I think Trump shut down travel from China. I think the 31st of January. But you know, we know with the social distancing, you know, on the African continent, we know social distancing is just not a thing that's really practiced for the most part. You know, in African culture, or even telling people to stay at home and not be around family and friends and mass gatherings. How is Liberians dealing with that? Because I know just from going, that would be like a complete culture shock.
Yeah. And I think for most African countries, it will be, you know, this concept of not getting up and hustling, because, you know, I can speak for Liberians every single day. Everybody's up 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, getting to their destination. If it's to sell at the market on the street, or if it's to go to an office, people are used to moving. People are used to hustling. One thing I can say for Liberia, though, that sets it apart from other African nations is we suffered greatly from the Ebola epidemic a few years ago. So we should be familiar with social distancing, because the same kind of awareness campaigns that are going on now for Corona are the same type of initiatives they were trying to push back then for Ebola, because Ebola was very contagious. Not as contagious as Corona is, but the same washing your hands, no touching, those type of things. So we should be better off and more educated about this social distancing and understanding, you know, how the disease moves. But I am seeing that it's not.
Well, you know, and to be fair, here in America, people have been very hard headed. I don't know if you maybe had checked out a video where I was talking about these, you know, I guess I want to say Generation Zs, because people say it's not the millennials, but look, millennials are from 22 years old to 37, so they could be mixed up with the Gen Zs as well. But they were having a coronavirus party. We've had people go to the beach talking about, hey, if I get corona, I get corona. Brad, I just would say said that. Wasn't Tyrone. And just people just doing the most. And when they tell you, hey, chill your nerves. So we're seeing this big rebellion in America with a, you know, issue going on. But are people in Liberia taking this seriously, or are they? I hope they're not throwing corona parties.
Yeah, I did see what you're talking about, and I just shook my head when I saw that. But it was also very interesting to see those same, you know, spring breakers, when they return, how many cases have popped up at their different universities. I think it's just a global thing where people are not taking this as seriously as they should until it's too late. Even in South Africa, there was a video that was going around last week of a huge like pool party in South Africa. And I mean, hundreds of people in the pool, and they're chanting Corona. And I was like, wow, this is really bad. But Liberians, you know, I have not left my house since the first confirmed case came out. I am quick to get sick. I'm a little bit of a germaphobe. Some people can say I'm a hypochondriac, whatever you want to call it. I am just not comfortable with being out here and being in the unknown. So I haven't left my house, but I've been trying to like stay in the know. It seems like people are trying to, at least these bigger businesses that may get some backlash if they don't. But as far as people, you know, markets, we've basically been put on a 21-day kind of not lockdown, but social distancing. Restaurants can't have more than 5 people in them. They're encouraging takeout. Supermarkets can't have more than 10 people at a time. But you know, you go to one grocery store and they have everybody waiting in the line in the queue, and then they have, you know, markers for 6 feet, which is great. Then you go to another grocery store and they may be going with the 10 people inside, but they're not, you know, making sure people are 6 feet apart. So I guess it depends on the business and the person. But I've seen videos of markets, you know, our markets here are extremely crowded. They're already kind of sketchy when it comes to being like safe as far as like disease and, you know, having the goods on the ground near trash. But I've seen markets full. I've seen another thing the Ministry of Transport has tried to do is minimize people in cars and taxis and on bikes. If you travel to Africa, any country, you'll see that, they, as many people as they can squish into a taxi, on the back of a bike, in a keke, or I don't know how we would call them anywhere else, but they're little like tuk-tuks. There you go. So they've tried to restrict only 2 people in the kekes / tuk-tuks, only 1 person on a bike, only 2 passengers in the back of a taxi. But again, those things aren't being enforced, so they're still happening. I think the most disturbing thing for me was last night, a video that's been circulating around right behind my house. I live in Konga Town in Monrovia, and there's this area called Old Road, which is right behind me. And there was a big revival last night with hundreds of people who believe it's the end days, and they were all crowded around with children, praying. And the police tried to disperse them. It didn't really work. So things like that are very, very disheartening, especially since we just recovered from Ebola. I wish that these people would just be a little bit more careful, but this is the place we see ourselves in. And like you said, it's not only Liberia, it's all over the world.
Yeah, correct. So it's I saw a video out of India, to be exact, and the people that was on the streets during their lockdown, the police had these sticks, and they were whipping their butt to get off the street. I said, boy, they got stuff here and whip your butt. I mean, it was interesting to see. I mean, they was kicking butt to get you off that street. So it seems like I know in African nations they probably can get away with it. They're going to start whipping butt to get you off the street.
And the funniest thing is, the biggest thing that's been said about this, the revival that happened last night, when months ago you knew about the protests that we were having, peaceful protests we were having here against the government, and tear gas was dispelled into the crowd, and they were peacefully protesting. I think the last one was because somebody lit a grill or a coal pot, which is how you cook the food, and they dispersed tear gas, and there was a whole bunch of chaos. And I was scrolling through Facebook last night, and I mean, I don't want to say I agree, but I agree, because I mean, there was children there. That's the only thing that makes me think anything of it. But the one time that y'all need to do something and maybe get in there, y'all over here playing like nice, disperse them, because I mean, these women were laying on the ground, becoming dead weight when the police would try to move them. I'm like, wow, the first time I really need y'all to step up and maybe utilize some of that force. Y'all not doing it. And this could really save lives. It's not about politics. It's not about, party lines. This is about saving lives. So, I mean, I don't blame them in India. I think sometimes you got to put force in there.
Well, I know some, like around here, they have that, I heard you saying about the 10 people couldn't go in a grocery store. That's very interesting, because, here you can go into the grocery store. They don't have no limit. But I know when I went to Target the other day, at least in the customer service line, they had the little places where, you can social distance. They say, stand here, but they kind of letting you. So I was like, man, Target probably be better to go, because that's what, how it is. Not that people want to go to Target, but they want to go to Walmart or one of those places like that. So that's interesting about no more than 10 people in the store. That would be chaos here, though, because America is
we're a much
chaos.
smaller. Yeah, we're a much smaller population, and our stores are not as big as, God, you said Target. I miss Target so much. But they're not big superstores like Target or Walmart, where you have all this ample space. So I think that the measures of having 10 people, I mean, could be a little extreme, but I think they're taking precautions. And I can say this: I don't agree with our government on a lot of things, but the proactiveness that has happened in this situation, I'm actually very impressed by. I think that they don't want to put themselves in a position that they did in Ebola. Ebola was another unknown disease, another unknown virus, and I remember calls being made to leadership to face this thing head on before it became an epidemic. And I mean, Ebola came in quick, and it was deadly. It was deadly, and it was quick. We lost about 5,000 people here in Liberia to Ebola. But now you look at the numbers worldwide with Corona, and the cases are up there, the deaths are up there. So we're looking at something pretty similar, you know.
Yeah, and then now the U.S. has overtaken the world in the amount of cases, and I believe it's because of the aggressive testing. It's like if you don't test, you know, you're talking about, oh, China didn't have as much as America. Well, China probably wasn't aggressively testing as much. You know, they like to hide things too, because
Yeah.
they were the epicenter of it.
Yeah, yeah. I think the whole issue of underreporting is everywhere, right? Personally, for me, a lot of things aren't adding up here. I still don't believe that we only have 3 cases. Like I said, the third woman who was confirmed. So this is another issue with protocols being broken. Apparently a woman traveled from Italy here. And then there was some discussion if she broke protocol, if she left quarantine too early. She was also put into some really rough quarantine conditions. The hotel they had her in didn't have water to even flush the toilet. The door was broken. So I could understand her frustration in that. But there's always like that leeway time where we can't really figure out, you know, but obviously we're not tracing. So she attended a party and she had traveled from Italy, but she tested negative. But the third confirmed patient got the virus supposedly from that party or around that time frame, but they still can't figure out where she got it from. Then you have the American Embassy who sent out an email yesterday or the day before about an emergency medvac flight that went out. The verbiage was a little, you know, sketchy that there may be corona patients on the flight. So then people were asking, is that not a part of the 3 confirmed cases? Because it wasn't. You know, those people are Liberian citizens. They're not going to be medvaced out on a U.S. embassy flight. And then they came back and said, we can't, you know, release information on patients. So it's a lot of questions just really floating out here. And at this point, I think the virus has spread. And like you said, we're not aggressively testing. You know, we're still over here tracing. So I don't know where we stand, but I will be in the house until further notice.
And that's a good policy because, you know, just the other day, on Willie D, shout out to brother Willie, he had interviewed Scarface, and then he got the corona now, you know,
It seems like everyone has it, right?
yeah, well, Slim Thug, you know, I'm just talking about just right here local in Houston. He tested positive for it. A lot of people are testing positive for it, and some people don't take it seriously. Now, you had sent me an article of a brother you knew was 43 years old in Detroit.
Yes.
You talk about that brother? Did you
Yeah.
before?
Got a little chill. Marlo Stoudemire, great guy, man. He was a mentor to me in Detroit. Like, and if you read the articles around this guy, he was involved in everything in the city. He was just that person that when you think of Detroit, you thought of Marlo. He was involved in everything. I started working with him in 2012. He had a company, The Butterfly Effect. It was a consultancy group, but we did a lot of work with the NFL players, with the Detroit Lions. He was with me. You know, we did a kickball tournament for one of my clients, Nick Fairley, for about 4 years, and he helped me a lot with the community piece. But it was really shocking because I heard, you know, I was reading on Facebook that he was sick, and I didn't even know if he had coronavirus or not. By the time I got to talk to somebody in Detroit to tell me that he was sick and he wasn't doing too well, literally 2 hours later, the news came out that he passed away. 43, beautiful wife, Valencia, 2 beautiful children, and just gone like that. And I think that's when it really became real for a lot of people, especially in Detroit. For me, like I said, I am scared always. I have anxiety. I'm a hypochondriac. I'm a germaphobe. So I've been on, you know, on defense mode. But I think a lot of people were taking this as a joke. And then when you have someone like that, you know, someone who doesn't have health problems, someone who was just doing interviews with someone on March 7th, and then you turn around and just hear that they died, it becomes really real and it becomes really sad, you know. And unfortunately, you know, I don't think that's the end of it, you know, for all of us. Even this morning, I read that Detroit, the cases are growing there rapidly, you know, more than I know Detroit, New Orleans, those areas are rapidly racking up confirmed cases. So I mean, rest in peace, Marlo. My heart is broken, but we just got to pray that hopefully we don't have too many more brothers and sisters that we lose, because we really lost like a beacon, a light in our city of Detroit.
Yeah, and you grew up there, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, D-Town. So yeah, this brother in front I read, he had a wife and he had two children, which is very hard. Because like I said, 43 years old. I mean, that brother was, just really in the prime of his life.
Right, right. And I mean, from the people that knew him, on just like a personal level, to he worked at the Henry Ford Health System, which is a big hospital in Detroit. When you have someone who's that big and that has that status in the city, like a fixture, and you get all these accounts from people like senators, representatives, it's really tough, and it's really hard to believe that that happened. And I just can't imagine what his wife is going through, what his family, because if you go back and you look at their prayers going out from all walks of life for him, and then in that instant he just dies, and it's really unbelievable. But I think that even though we have to have these tragedies happen, it has to be real for people to understand how dangerous this is, because I do think that people are taking it as a joke. We have Corona parties, people, it's become kind of like popular with Cardi B's coronavirus remix that's out. And that's great. You still want to have some type of laughter, some type of light in this, such a dark time. But we need to still be able to laugh and, have some type of peace, but also take this thing seriously. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, it doesn't become real until it hits home.
Right, and what also when I had read, shout out to our brother was he recovering, Dynas Demir. You met Dynas. He had
Yes.
told everyone he had came down with coronavirus. I'm like, wow, because like I said, I went to Dynas' house and talked with Dynas right at his house, and we did a video together. Then you met Dynas as well. So I was floored to hear Dynas with that.
Right. Yeah. Dynas, we wishing you speedy recovery. We need you back on the continent. So, yeah, it's real. It's
Hmm.
hitting everyone. Yeah, it's hitting everyone, and it's hitting celebrities. And every day, like the British Prime Minister confirmed it this morning. It's like these huge figures all around the world. It doesn't even have to take the people in our communities. It's happening everywhere. Idris Elba, like all these people are getting it. So I don't understand why it hasn't really resonated with the world yet.
Well, let me ask you a question, Royda. What do you think is going to change after this? Because some fundamental changes I feel is going to happen. But in your opinion, what do you think is going to change globally? With all of this.
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing right now, it's for a place like Liberia, we've been through this before, but this is unprecedented, like uncharted territory for America. So I really don't want, what I really don't want to see is the backlash or the after effects of small businesses. I think the small businesses in America, small businesses everywhere, because even in Liberia with this 21-day hold is affecting our economy. I think there's going to be a huge drop in small business owners, businesses closing their doors. Um, and I think that, I mean, outside of the economy and all these different things, I just think that the spirit is going to change, because it's something that's never happened to a major country like America. And I think the paranoia that the people have will continue to be there. And we really can't even say what is going to happen because we don't know when this is over. I mean, I've been watching that Trump said he wants to open the country up by Easter, but now it's leading the world in cases. So I don't really know. It's so unknown for me. It's so unknown for me. So I would like to hear what you think is going to happen. What the permanent changes are going to be.
Well, no, you want me to go down that route? I'll go down that route with you. These folks, and you know what I mean when I say these folks, them folks, they always going to look for eventually for someone to blame, of course. Now, I will have to side with them to a point when they say that, wait a minute, China knew what this was happening. And they've been warned by many doctors there before this thing really broke out. And they chose to suppress those doctors in their knowledge at the time, then they probably could have, stopped this whole thing. And while that was
Right.
going on, China allowed their people to travel to everybody else's country, including the United States. Okay. And now this virus, like I said, is everywhere. It's tanking economies or putting economies in recession. A lot of money is being lost. Trust me. Right now, they're dealing with it. You can look at a country like Italy. Italy is being decimated due to this. Do you think it's not going to be any kind of backlash to this after it's over with, knowing how the West responds to things?
I mean, you make great points, but what kind of backlash is the question? Sanctions?
I think that this is my opinion. I'm thinking it's definitely going to be heavily economic. What I wish would happen or should happen is that America pull all of its manufacturing out of China and realize that if this nothing else shows that America is vulnerable due to China, this is it, because they depend on China for everything. Also in the continent of Africa too. We got to admit that. So I believe that domesticated manufacturing, even on the continent, must be the way forward and not depending on China to be shipping everything to us.
It should be that way. I mean, I am a big proponent of, I don't want to say all of China or all Chinese people, but on the continent, it is known that there are some groups of people from China that come and exploit the resources, exploit the people, whatever it may be. So yeah, I agree with you fully that I wish that it would go that route, but do I think it's going to go that route? Absolutely not, especially for a place like Liberia. I mean, if you come to Liberia, you will see China's influence all over. We just had a huge ministerial complex that was built by the Chinese. They had their language written on the fence. They're too intertwined with business in Liberia on the continent of Africa for us to even get to that point. And then you have the lack of infrastructure on the continent to have domestic manufacturing happen. So at the rate that the Chinese do it, they're needed. So even for America, I would say, I don't feel like it may be a temporary thing or, but I feel like they're always going to go back to that because it's cheap labor, right? So that's why it's used so much in the Americas. And we all know when it comes down to the money, it's all about money. What makes sense money wise, right?
Well, I can disagree, and it's a twofold thing you could do. Yes, I agree with business. I think business, it is better to get people to do things for you overseas, no doubt. But at the same time, by them using China, it built them up as a superpower, right?
Right.
I would think that their next move probably going to be is to go into Africa and do it there. And they're going to.
I would open my arms to that so welcomely,
Well, because you look at all the summits that's happening right now, the UK, they had the Brexit thing, so they had the UK Africa summit. Then you had the Russia Africa summit. Then you had, United States always trying to talk to African countries now. Everybody's trying to get in there. So I believe if they would transport maybe manufacturing here to the US, of course, but also do it on the African continent, I think it would be a win-win for everybody if they do it that way, because China's trying to colonize, But the bad part, what I was talking to African businessmen about what America is, at least when Obama was in office, well, if we do business with you, then you got to accept the alphabet community. And they're like, oh, no, but the Chinese ain't telling us to accept anything. And they don't get involved with our politics. They just say, hey, we want business with you.
Yeah. I mean, it would definitely be a win-win. There's so many resources. And if you think about it, when I say exploiting the land and the resources, which is a common narrative around all African countries when it comes to Chinese investors, I mean, it will cut the middleman out, right? Because the resources are here. They're taking the resources and using them for the manufacturing or whatever it may be. So it would definitely cut out the middleman. And it would just finally leverage the continent into being big players in the global economy. It's not for lack of land, it's not for lack of manpower, labor. We have it all here, even in our small country of Liberia. It's ample land that has not been developed, has not been touched. So I really hope what you're saying is true, Phil. And seriously, I would love to lead the charge for Liberia if that's the case.
Well, I know there's a lot of talent on the African continent. I know, I got to see it. I understand why the Chinese go or white people go. Trust me, there's so much talent and opportunity there. It would, trust me, if I was living on the African continent, at least being connected with my things here in America, I can have maybe some things a lot faster, more employees than what I have now. And I do have people that help us that's on the African continent now. I mean, we have at least 3 to 4 different people that help us that's there. And it's awesome. Versus, let's say if you had to pay someone here to do it, it's going to cost you a lot more. Let's call it what it is. It's just going to cost you more. And I believe, like I said, I don't like China there, but for the simple fact that they're bringing their racism. And a lot of Africans, for what I see, are too passive. They don't react like the Julius Malema type, and that's my favorite type of African, the Julius Malema type that will go upside your head if you fly wrong. Yeah, I mean, I love that kind of brother or sister, whoever they may be, and the Chinese know when they approach you and they see you got that kind of energy, they kind of backing off from because they're scary.
Mm-hmm.
They're really scary at the end of the day. I mean, you know that. Because they probably how they may approach you and hear your accent versus maybe a continental Liberian. I mean, they treat you different, right?
Yeah, for me, I don't really have a lot of dealings with Chinese people here in Liberia, but I will agree with that. Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, I see the influence in Liberia, and I know it's business oriented. And with corruption and all those things that run rampant, I'm sure there's kickbacks. I'm sure there's all kinds of deals on the table, money talks, and that's the only thing that matters. For me, when I see a construction project in Liberia, and I see Chinese letters and numbering, on the fence, it doesn't make me angry, but it's just because I know so many people who can do the same, or given the opportunity and the resources to back them. There's so many Liberian companies that can do that, or can do what they're bringing people in for. So that's the frustrating part for me. Just like gentrification that happens in the States, it's like a similar concept. But I mean, in Liberia, we don't give loans to small businesses. We don't equip our farmers and agriculture, mining people. But it's always, the foreigners are deep into the economy here because we, the Liberians, may not be given the same or be looked over because they are Liberian.
Right. So let me ask you this. So do you believe, with the current, climate that you see with China, and with Liberia, do you believe that things are going to change for the better, or you believe things are going to just kind of stay the same? I mean, because I know that another 2 years, you guys will be changing leaders, correct?
I want to see them out of here. Trying to think 2023. Okay, so 2023 is our next election. I don't think anything's going to change because from what I see, when it comes to things in Liberia, it just switches. The administration just adapts to the same group, whatever it may be. I don't think the Chinese business people are affected at all when it comes to the change in government. Like I said, they get a lot of projects here. They get a lot of deals here. So I don't see it changing at all. I don't even see them, if this coronavirus thing explodes, they're not going to hold any animosity towards the Chinese people or Chinese businesses. And I think that also stems from our involvement with Ebola. I see it a lot about when Liberians say it, because during Ebola, when you were ashamed to say you're a Liberian because people would that kind of racism that the Chinese Americans or Chinese across the world are getting is what we would get. Oh, you're from Liberia, you have Ebola, like, ew, get away from me, like, and it became a Liberian disease or a Sierra Leonean disease. So maybe that's why that view is probably going to not change for Liberians, at least.
Okay, well, in the West, you know how they are. Like I said, Boris Johnson, we was talking about that. He came down with the coronavirus. I think, was it the Prince Phillip? He's another one in the UK that they came
Prince
down
Charles.
with. Charles, I'm
Prince
sorry,
Charles.
Charles came down with the coronavirus. So I just know how these folks are, and it's going to be some sort of reaction. I know
Yeah.
they're not going to just say, "Oh, well, it's just one of them things," and because too many people lost money, and too many people died, and which affected business. I know these people; they're not going to let it go. They're not going to let this go.
And I agree with you, but I think it's more about business than deaths.
Yeah, of
When it
course,
comes to the
it's
West.
about the money.
Yeah.
You know that money moves the world.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really sad that there's no value placed on human life, and it's down to the point. It's exactly why Donald Trump is trying to reopen the country when he clearly should not, because he wants the economy to get booming. And then for me, I get it. I get it. Economy is a big thing, right? I understand businesses are losing money left and right. I get it. I'm suffering right now from a 21-day hold in my very small economy. I think the thing that kind of frustrates me about Trump, well, I'm sure it frustrates everybody, is just like, the spotlight has to be on him, and then, the ridiculous, like, misinformation he's spreading. And then for me, when I heard him say he wanted to reopen it by Easter, it wasn't about the economy. It was like, oh, I want to open the churches so everybody can celebrate Easter, this holy holiday. Like, sir, come on now. You want to open that up for your stock market, Wall Street buddy. It's not about no dang on church.
Yeah, like in business, so you a businesswoman, you understand. But I look at it, I would want to be in his position. I'm gonna tell you why. Because in one instance, you're right. You do need to kind of hold people back until this gets, subsided. But in another instance, you can't shut a whole country down, especially the size of the United States. You cannot just keep it shut down for 3 months. You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what we say, because they're complaining now about they don't have medical supplies, you're really going to be complaining when the money stops, and then you don't have money for anything. And then people in this country are not used to food shortages and all kind of things that would come along with that, because you don't have no money coming in. So I don't.
Yeah, you make a good point. I mean, because here, we have gas shortages all the time, and people just adapt because we're used to it. It'd be like The Purge or one of those, end of the world movies, which I completely understand. But my whole thing is, you have to just sacrifice in the beginning, or, measures could have been put in place in the beginning, or in this crucial time, lock everything down like fully, so that it doesn't last for another 3, 4, 5 months. But I think the now you see the states are starting to do these mandatory lockdowns, or, non-essential businesses closed, those type of things. Those things should have happened way before, in my opinion. But also it dates back to maybe the Chinese government admitting this thing way before it started. So there's like a domino effect of blame. But at some point, you have to just sacrifice. Like right now, Liberia has a 21-day hold, and it's really made people, stop. But, with the rate that it's increasing in America is what scares me. I understand business has to go on, but I feel like if something doesn't happen in the next few weeks, it is gonna last for 3, 4, 5 more months, because we've already surpassed the China with their cases, right, in America, and they're basically China's done, right?
Well, they claim, and this I say claim that they don't have cases. But if you look at the amount of I'm looking at it right now. I mean, just right off the press, they have over 86,000 cases of corona in the United States, with 1,300 people passed away. Even though, of course, that's a lot of people. Don't get me wrong. But if you look at the amount of cases versus the death rate, it's not, it's not as bad. Versus you look at the UK's numbers, the UK's death rate is actually much higher than the United States death rate. Yeah. So, like I said, I would want to be in his position, because I looked at the numbers this morning. Texas had an 800% increase in unemployment claims. Wow. So when we say, well, the country, we got to stay locked down. Well, what people are going to do for 3 months if we lock the country down, when you had your waiter or waitress who worked on tips? Now they can't even get that, because they're doing takeout and drive through. That's the only thing you can do at the restaurants now. Or what are the person who some people I know work at a place that's like an entertainment place, right? For family,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And that's their bread and butter. Now they can't work that because it's considered not essential, right?
Right.
So what about, those people, people who own private gyms, like my trainer, for instance, he has a private gym. He can't have that. He can do mobile training, but he can't do
Mm-hmm.
that. What about those people? That's what I'm thinking about when you talking about getting the economy back running again.
Right.
And why I do kind of agree we can't stay sitting out too long.
Yeah,
Um,
not too long, but even Trump gotta have a poker face at some point. Like he doesn't even need to say these things. Start putting the plans in place to have some type of plan to get the country moving and have like I like the whole idea of having the zones recognized, where hot zones are and those type of things. But maybe just plan it out. Act like you care about people dying. Stop talking about it. It's just as a leader of the free world, you just have to, and we know he doesn't have any clues. He doesn't hold anything back. So we're expecting a lot from that, I guess. But you don't have to show all your cards, is what I'm saying. I get what you say though. He's in a hard position because the economy is what drives the world. Money drives the world. We all need jobs. We all need work. But yeah, maybe there's a better way to deal with it when it comes to the media.
oh, the media, the media. I actually love when he talks to them that way. I love it. I can watch the press conferences every day. It's like comedy gold for me when he do that.
No, it
Because,
is. It's honestly, that dude. I mean, he's been giving me some laughs recently. I think there was one press conference where he was reading a paper and he just like, flicked it, like drops mic. I'm like, who is this? Is the president of the United States?
yeah, he's on a level of petty that I hope to attain one day because I could never obtain his level of petty. You're like, man, this dude just say whatever, don't care. Like the situation with Mitt Romney when he heard that he was isolated and everything. Say, wait, what? Mitt Romney in isolation? He said, oh, gee, that's too bad. And the reporter was like, is that sarcasm? He said, no, no.
No.
That was so funny. I was like, man, this dude
What?
is crazy. And he's a president.
The guy is crazy.
I think it's funny. I think it's a great thing.
We're living through history right now. This is just I mean, it's great. It's like you can't make this up. You cannot make this up. So I read a meme earlier that's like, imagine if a time traveler came to you and said 2020 is going to be the craziest year. Australia catches on fire. Kobe Bryant dies in a helicopter accident. Like, all these different things, this virus. So yeah, I mean, I'm just really taking it one day at a time, and really, and this shutdown has really given me some time off. So I'm really all up in what's happening in America. Usually, my day to day, I'm so busy here. Like we talked about before, getting around in Liberia is always an adventure. So you never really have time to really see what my friends and family are doing back at home. But I really do pray that things just level out, and me and you check on each other all the time, making sure we're good. I'm really praying for everyone and praying for the world that this stops, because death and economy is down, all of it is just all bad. So I'm just praying that this all levels out soon and we can get back to normal.
Yeah, because I was definitely want to get back on the continent because I was looking forward to going to the continent in September and October. So I mean, I'm like Trump. We need to get back to work, man, because get the travel back going again. Because
Right.
I had to reschedule some travel that I had. Because normally me and my wife, we normally do is on our birthdays we'll travel somewhere. So I had to redo that and I'm like, I'm ready to get back to normal. I like all these people on the internet too. You got way too many people on Netflix. So you
Oh
slow it
God.
down. And there's too
This
many.
TikTok thing, Phil, this TikTok thing. You told me you more hip than me because I don't even have a TikTok account. If I see one more dang on TikTok video, and if one more person I'm an Instagram freak, right? I'm on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. Philmena, Philmena. I love Instagram. It's my life. But when I tell you the challenges people were tagging me in, I had to put up a video like, stop. I am on quarantine, social distancing, chill. I don't want to do push-ups. I don't want to, fill out forms about what my favorite things are. Like, I just want to Now, the only challenge I did accept was the C3 take 3, which was shots. And I was like, all right, this is a challenge I can get down with. Take a little shot. I'm good with that. But Lord Jesus, can people just watch TV and like, why do we have to be so like, we're supposed to be social distancing, but I feel like people are more social than ever. I mean,
like I say, yeah, listen, I even at first I was reluctant to get on TikTok myself until I had a conversation with Kelly. And he said, yeah, you need to get on there. And I started really researching everybody on there. I mean, like people that do the exact same thing that I do, they're on TikTok. I said, okay. So I said, shoot, I'm gonna play with it too. And I did like one little TikTok just to play around. We're like, I couldn't believe y'all ever see you on there. I said, well, you a whole lot of things you can't believe about me. I mean, you don't know me, you ain't God. But yeah, now some things I would not even participate in, but there's some things that just I think is fun they do on there, and I think it's cool, especially with this quarantine, lockdown, stay at home, whatever you want to call it, to give you an outlet. Because if they really didn't have things like TikTok on the internet, I really think people would really lose their freaking mind right now.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's for me, I take this as an opportunity to be productive, knock out things that I may have been procrastinating on. But I'm gonna download TikTok after this interview. You're gonna see me on there. I'm gonna request you.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I'm on there. It's the other thing I found I wanted to do to have some fun on TikTok. Why not? Because somebody told me, feel that cabin fever getting you, huh? Like, no, I just like to have fun. But I know what you're saying about doing things that you probably wouldn't have done. Like, I've been needing to like clean out the garage and everything, and every time I'm so busy. So now with this time, I got to clean the garage. I know the garbage man probably was so mad, all the stuff I decided to fly trash bags today. He probably cussing me out.
Well, we hope that this time will yield money in the future, productivity. Everybody gets through it, without going too crazy. I mean, over here, I think I shared with you. We have a new coronavirus awareness song. I shared it with you, right?
Yeah. So let me explain to you what she shared with me. So the president of Liberia, Mr. George Weah, we've talked about him. He's one of our favorite African presidents, and I'm saying that sarcastically. And he actually went to the studio and played a song and made a song about coronavirus awareness.
No security, everything is possible. It could be your mama, your papa, brother and sister. Let's stand together to fight this deadly disease now. Walk on the world we're living.
Now, I thought that was interesting. I also thought that, well, man, it's a little different, have a song, but I mean, Royda has different feelings about the song than I do.
Oh, Lord. Well, let me say this. I get, the song is working. The song is being spread around. I don't know if it's for people loving the tune or just the sheer, like, really, did our president just go and record a song? I'm the latter. The thing about Weah, and we've talked about this before, this man is, he's a president, he's a football player, he started preaching, he's a quadruple, threat out here.
Hold on. George Weah, he Rev now too?
Oh yeah, he has a church and he preached in it. I didn't tell you about that one.
You showed me the article with him, talking about some, he was kind of complaining in the church house about, people complaining on him.
Yeah.
But I didn't know
that was different.
Rev.
Yeah, no, I think it was last year he may have done I can't remember, but he does have a church and he went and preached in it. So that was interesting as well. For me, for those of you who don't know, Liberia's economy is not in the greatest state, and it hasn't been for quite some time. I get it. I mean, no, let me say this. I don't get it. I would understand if he is like, we need to make an awareness song and enlist the very many talented musicians we have here in Liberia to do that song. I don't understand why any leader of any country would feel like it's appropriate to do that in general, or especially during this time. I don't know. I just don't get it. I saw a really funny video today. A comedian here was like, you know, having a go at it, laugh, like he was crying. He's like, George Weah, if you become a comedian, me and you gonna have some problems because you done sang, we gave you president, we gave you senator, all those things. But if you start telling jokes, me and you gonna have beef. And I couldn't stop laughing because I'm like, damn, let the people, you know, let the musicians sing. But you know what? We have a corona awareness song and it's going around. Hopefully it encourages some people to wash their hands and do social distancing. I hope.
Hey, you never know. It could go viral. You never know. Like I
I
said,
mean,
look,
I don't even want to
you
admit
see how
this
everything
to
go
you.
viral there.
I don't want to even say this, but it is kind of catchy.
Actually, it was kind of catchy though. It was kind of catchy.
Lord, whatever works at this point, I'm leaving it with God.
Yeah. Maybe George Weah can go into music and just leave politics alone. I think that's probably a better bet for him anyway. It's probably his music. Make sure you buy his record. He need to put that record on Spotify.
On iTunes.
Yeah. Let people download it. Why not?
We're the big joke now is we're all waiting for you know, the music video. So when that drops, I'll make sure to share it with you.
Yeah, somebody gonna do something with it.
Lord.
Boy,
Oh goodness. Yeah.
You know, one thing about black folks, we sure do the most. You notice that? We do the most.
And when you come to the continent, you see the most. I feel like in America we have, that's where it all comes from. You know, when you're in the States, you know, I would say we have the group of celebrities that we get to see, the athletes. But boy, when you come to Africa and you see an African man with some money, the stunting levels are, you can't even compare. You cannot even compare. It's not even the same ballpark.
Right. So, Royda, tell everybody how can they visit you, your website, your Instagram for, you know, some of the, you know, and I'm apologize early, you know, if anybody be thirsty in your inbox, I know they that's what they do.
Okay. It's okay.
Okay. It's okay. You're used to it. All right.
It's okay. Yeah. Well, hopefully you can, well, on YouTube, my name is Royda Urey. Maybe we can add that in the comments somewhere or pin it up there. Royda Urey, that's my YouTube channel. I just released a video actually yesterday. What I'm trying to do now is just put out content for the next few weeks of this lockdown, you know. I visited a waterfall here in Liberia for the second time to explore the second waterfall. Really good video. Check it out. Check me out, Royda Urey. My name is Royda Philomena Urey, so that's where you'll get Philomena from. And then, yeah, to follow me on my everyday life in Liberia, which is pretty fun. You know, I try to show as much as I can of Liberia, my life, you know, the city, the views, all those things. You can follow me on Instagram at Philmena, PHILMENA.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know, make sure you go ahead and connect with our Liberian sister. And I didn't tease her, so I got to tease her now. If you watch the previous interviews, Liberian Becky, Royda. If you have to watch the previous interviews to know where that comes from, you know, go check them out. They are already on the channel. Type in her name, they'll pop up. So, you know, Royda, you stay good, and you know,
you too, Phil.
Yeah, Royda always checks in with us, you know, and everything. Make sure she's okay or what we doing over here. So that's good. We always try to stay connected with each other.
Yeah, and we're gonna get you here, if not this year, next year for sure.
Yeah, just make sure I gotta take medicine though, because I can't be catching on malaria. Oh no,
I got you.
Yeah. So
well, thanks for having me again, Phil.
Oh, no problem. You know, you're welcome to come back anytime. Make sure you check that pinned comment below. Y'all know where I put everything at. You can click it and go from there. So, all right, Royda, you stay in the house and get your TikTok and do your thing.